Hello, everyone. I hope you're happy and healthy today. Sometimes, life leads us to unexpected turns. A simple yes or no can shift the course of everything. Diep had always been a humble girl, full of warmth and quiet strength. She wasn't born with riches or raised in comfort, but she had a heart big enough to carry the world. After recovering from a long illness, she found herself back on her feet, not just physically, but emotionally too. Her past was painful, her journey was hard, but she walked forward with her head high and her eyes full of hope. One sunny morning, Diep sat across from her mother, sipping tea and casually chatting, when her mother brought up something unexpected. "So, what are you doing these days, dear?" her mom asked with a curious smile. "I'm learning more about financial management," Diep replied proudly. "Maybe I can work at Ms. Huin's house soon." Her mother chuckled, "You always were a smart one." Then, with a glint of mischief, she added, "By the way, do you have a boyfriend?" Diep nearly choked on her tea. "Mom." "What?" her mother laughed. "You're beautiful, kind, and hardworking. It's strange you're still single." Diep shook her head with a shy smile. But the conversation didn't end there. "I heard Ms. Huin's son is quite the catch," her mother whispered. "He's smart, runs a big company, and from what I've heard, he doesn't have a girlfriend either." Diep went silent for a moment. The truth was, she knew exactly who Ms. Huin's son was, CEO James. Yes, the CEO James. The man who had cared for her through her darkest days. The man who brought her strawberry milk when she was too weak to sit up. The one who prayed for her when she couldn't even pray for herself. She didn't just know him, she loved him. But no one else knew. Not yet. As the thought of James swirled in her mind, a memory returned, the look on his mother's face when she saw Diep step into their home for the first time after her recovery. It wasn't pity. It wasn't doubt. It was warmth. Acceptance. Love. Like she had always belonged. Even the comments from strangers online echoed the same feeling. People from across the world called them their favorite couple. They prayed for her recovery. They defended her from those who didn't understand. One comment said, "Diep, you did the right thing going to James' house. He's full of love." Another said, "Tongue, respect their relationship. They love each other. Leave them alone." Yes, there was drama, there always was. Tongue, a friend from the past, kept trying to reconnect. But Diep knew her heart belonged to James now. Yet despite everything, the recovery, the love, the support, she hadn't said yes yet. She hadn't told James how deeply she felt. She hadn't told her mother either. So when her mother asked again, softer this time, "Do you like him?" Diep paused, looked out the window, and whispered, "Yes, Mom. I do." But what happens when love and destiny come face to face with the past? The days after Diep confessed to her mother were filled with a strange mix of serenity and uncertainty. At home, things were simple. The garden bloomed with wildflowers she had planted as a child, and the quiet mornings gave her time to reflect. But at CEO James' home, it was different. Everything felt intentional. Polished. Grand. Yet despite the luxury, it wasn't the house that gave her comfort, it was the way James looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching. He didn't look at her like she was a burden or a fragile person who had just come back from illness. No, he looked at her like she was strength itself, like every scar, every quiet smile, every thoughtful word made her more beautiful. Every morning, James would knock lightly on her door before heading out to work. "Good morning, Diep," he'd say, holding a coffee in one hand and a file in the other. "You slept well?" She'd always nod, but her heart never stopped racing until he was out of sight. His mother, Mrs. Huin, treated Diep like a daughter. She made her favorite soup, checked if she took her medicine, and often said things like, "A girl like you deserves a place in this home." Still, no matter how loved Diep felt, there was something that always pulled her mind into the shadows: Tongue. Tongue had been a close friend. They shared rice porridge when they were young, ran through fields barefoot, and laughed over burnt potatoes. He was the first boy who ever made her feel seen. But that was a lifetime ago. He left. And not just from the village. He left her. When Diep got sick, Tung stopped visiting. When she cried herself to sleep, he was silent. Not even a message. Not a single call. But now? Now he was calling. Showing up at her old house. Asking her mother where she was. Leaving messages online like *Diep, I miss you. Let's talk. The timing wasn't lost on her. Everyone online was noticing her and James. There were clips of her arriving at his home, of James looking at her like she was the only person in the world. There were photos of them at a fundraiser where James gently held her hand as cameras flashed. They didn't announce anything, but the world could feel it, something real was blooming. One fan even commented, *Tung, don't interfere. They're perfect together. But Tung wasn't backing down. One evening, Diep received a handwritten letter slipped under her door. It was from him. Diep. I know I messed up. I should have been there. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I still love you. That guy, James, he's not one of us. He doesn't know where you come from. He can't love you the way I can. Meet me. One last time. If you still feel nothing, I'll go. Forever. Her hands trembled as she held the paper. What was she supposed to do? That night, James found her sitting outside, lost in thought. He didn't ask what was wrong. He simply sat beside her and said, whatever it is, we'll face it. Together. His words were simple. But to Diep, they felt like a promise. Still, doubt crept in. Could love survive when the past knocks at your door? Would James still stand by her if she chose to face Tung? Could she really move forward without saying goodbye to the boy who once made her feel alive? The next day, she made a decision. She would go. She would meet Tung. Not because she still loved him, but because she needed to know if she truly didn't. The day Diep agreed to meet Tung, the sky seemed to mirror her mind, cloudy, heavy, bracing for a storm. She told no one, not even James or his mother. She simply left a note on her bed that read, I'll be back before dinner. She traveled by bus, her hands clenched tightly around her bag. The city flew past in streaks of color, but her mind was fixed in the past, a series of moments with Tung, when he first gave her his jacket in the rain, when they studied under candlelight, when he promised he'd always protect her. But the images that came next were bitter, the unanswered calls, the silent seasons of her illness, and the way he vanished when she needed him most. She arrived at the park where they once carved their names into a tree. He was already there, sitting on a bench like nothing had changed. But everything had. He smiled when he saw her. Diep, he said, as if her name was the only word he had memorized all these years. She stayed silent. 1,000 emotions churned inside her, but her face remained calm. You look different. Stronger. Beautiful as ever. She finally spoke. Why now, Tung? Why reach out now after everything? Tung's gaze dropped to the ground. Because I made a mistake. The biggest one of my life. I thought I was protecting you by staying away. But the truth is, I was afraid. I didn't know how to face your pain. Diep folded her arms. You disappeared. No calls. No visits. You let me go through it alone. He nodded slowly. I know. And I'm not asking for you to forget it. I just want one more chance. I can still be the man you once believed in. Diep looked at him for a long time. There was once comfort in his eyes, but now they only reflected guilt and regret. In her heart, she knew that love wasn't supposed to return like this, late, broken, and full of excuses. She stood. Tung, I hope you find peace. I do. But the girl you once loved doesn't exist anymore. I've changed. And someone else, someone real, stood by me when you didn't. Tung's voice cracked. You're talking about James. She nodded. He never promised anything, but he was there. That matters more than anything. Tung reached out, but she stepped back. Goodbye, Tung. With that, she walked away, not looking back. Every step was heavy but full of truth. Back at James' house, it was already evening. Mrs. Huyn greeted her at the door with a knowing look. Everything all right? Diep forced a smile. I needed to close a door. James was in the study, going through documents. He looked up when she entered, and his face lit up. You're back. She crossed the room and hugged him, tight, trembling. James, thank you. He pulled back gently. For what? For being here when no one else was. He smiled and brushed her hair behind her ear. You never have to go through anything alone again. As the days passed, Diep threw herself into work, assisting James with reports, attending board meetings, and handling high-stakes deals. She was no longer the sick girl in bed. She was becoming a leader. Staff members began to admire her precision and grace. Even clients noticed how James would glance at her for silent reassurance before signing a contract. But just as life began to steady, rumors began to swirl. Photos of her meeting with Tung leaked online. Some accused her of playing both sides. A tabloid headline screamed ***, James' secretary in secret meetup with ex. James didn't say anything for days. He buried himself in work, avoided eye contact, and went home late. Diep noticed but didn't confront him immediately. She wanted him to trust her. One night, she walked into his office, closed the door, and placed the tabloid on his desk. I want to be honest with you, she said. I met Tung. It was closure. Nothing more. If that changes how you see me, just say it. James finally looked at her, truly looked. Diep, I wasn't hurt that you met him. I was hurt you didn't tell me. She stepped closer. I was scared you'd think less of me. He stood, walked around the desk, and took her hand. I think the world of you. But next time, share the weight with me. We're stronger together. Tears welled in her eyes, but she smiled. It was the beginning of something unshakable. That night, James took her to the rooftop of their office building. The city lights sparkled below. Diep, he said, holding her hand, I don't care what the world says. What matters is us. And I want us to last. She leaned into him, heart full. Because in the storm of her past, she had finally found her calm. The morning sun filtered through the windows of the mansion, casting a golden glow on Diep's face as she poured tea for James' mother. It was a peaceful moment, one she never imagined she'd experience after all the pain, rejection, and self-doubt. James had gone to work early that day, but not without leaving a note by her pillow, ** you belong here. With us. With me. **. That simple message carried the weight of everything they had fought for, every sleepless night in the hospital, every whisper of doubt in the corporate corridors, every glare from outsiders who judged her past. But now, even those whispers seemed to grow silent. Diep stood tall, elegant, and composed, no longer the girl who sold vegetables at the market, but a woman who earned her place in this world. In the kitchen, James' mother prepared breakfast and casually asked, Do you still want to work for Ms. Huyn, or have you realized this house already needs you? Diep laughed softly. This home gave me back my heart. I just want to take care of it. But not everything was calm. Later that evening, while Diep was watering the flowers in the garden, a shadow appeared by the gate. It was Tung. His eyes burned with resentment, and his voice shook. You really chose them over your roots? I chose peace, Tung. And love. You should try it sometime, Diep replied, no longer afraid. James arrived just in time, stepping between them with quiet strength. This ends here. If you truly cared about Diep, you'd want her happiness, not control. The tension broke. Tung turned away, realizing his grip had slipped for good. Back inside, James wrapped his arm around Diep and whispered, You saved yourself. I'm just lucky to be part of your story. And as the camera fades, we see Diep and James walking through the garden hand in hand, with James' mother watching from the doorway, smiling. If you felt the emotions in Diep and James' journey, like this video to support their love. Comment below with your favorite moment. Was it James' quiet devotion, Diep's transformation, or the showdown with Tongue? And don't forget to subscribe, more inspiring stories like this are coming soon, and we don't want you to miss a single one. Let love and hope always find a way.